Welcome. If you find calm in the quiet corners of a busy city, the slow hum of traffic, neon reflections, and late-night walks, you've come to the right place. Subscribe to join us for more still moments in the heart of the metropolis. Now, let's begin.
There's a certain glow the city gives off in autumn. You don't notice it in the daytime. Too much noise, too many people doing too many things. But once it gets dark, and the sky goes that deep violet with a hint of rust near the horizon, Manhattan softens. Not a lot, just enough. Like a boxer loosening his shoulders before a fight he knows he can't win, but plans to show up for anyway. I sit in my chair by the window. It's the kind that's too low to be comfortable, but too familiar to replace. My glass is half full with something brown and warm, and the ice is just beginning to clink as it shifts. The window's a wide one, faces west, and from the 14th floor, I can see down into the guts of the city. A mess of rooftops, rusted water towers, steam vents like angry tea kettles, neon signs flickering with half-burnt letters. Everything trying to outlast the cold. Across the street, there's a diner that hasn't closed in 50 years. Red vinyl booths, the kind that hold stories in the cracks. You can see the cook through the fogged glass, leaning against the pass window, waiting for another order that won't come for a while. Two cabbies sit inside, jackets off, heads down, probably talking about fares, or women, or the Mets. Something to keep the mind off the ache in their bones. A few stories up, someone's having a party. Nothing wild, just soft music and people moving around with drinks in their hands. Shadows behind curtains, laughing in silhouette. They look young enough to think everything is still in front of them. I used to think that too, but the city teaches you otherwise. Not in a cruel way, not always. Sometimes it's just a slow unpeeling. You wake up one morning and realize the skyline hasn't changed, but you have. Down below, traffic glides like blood through veins. Yellow cabs, black SUVs, delivery trucks double parked like they own the block. There's a rhythm to it. Brake lights pulse like the city's heartbeat. And in the spaces between, you can hear the real soundtrack. Distant jazz from an open window, a siren winding its way uptown, the low murmur of people speaking lives into their phones. It's like everyone's telling their own little story, hoping the city's listening. Funny thing is, I don't think it is. The city's like me in that way. It watches, it listens, but it don't say much. I light a cigarette even though I'm trying to quit. I told my doctor I'd stop before winter. That was last year. But there's something about the ritual. Flick of the lighter, curl of smoke, the way it makes the cold air taste like memory, that I'm not ready to let go of yet. You might think I'm lonely, sitting here night after night, just watching. But it's not that. I've had noise in my life, plenty of it. Bars, meetings, deals, dinners where everyone talks like they know the ending to the movie but won't spoil it for you. This question mark, this is peace, or the closest thing a guy like me gets to it. They call me Mikey. No last name here, not tonight. That part stays folded up and put away like a clean shirt for church. What I do is complicated. Let's just say I'm in the business of making problems go away. Not like a lawyer or a therapist. More like a janitor. The kind that works after hours, cleans up the things that don't show up on spreadsheets or rap sheets. You don't have to like it. I don't always either. But it keeps the lights on, and it keeps certain people from knocking on my door at unpleasant hours. Still, that's not what tonight's about. Tonight's about watching the city breathe. The rain earlier left the streets slick. They shine like mirrors now, pulling double duty, reflecting the storefronts, the streetlights, the people walking too fast for no reason at all. That's a real New York thing, by the way. Walking like you're late to your own funeral. Even if you got nowhere to be, you move like you do. It's in the DNA. You come here from somewhere else, give it a week or two. You're weaving through crowds like a native. A couple walks past my building holding hands, heads tilted toward each other like pigeons. The girl's got a red coat, too thin for the weather, but she doesn't seem to mind. Maybe he's keeping her warm. Or maybe she's too happy to feel the chill. That's the kind of thing I used to notice when I was younger. What love looked like on strangers. Now, I just file it away like the smell of roasted chestnuts or the sound of a saxophone busker echoing down a subway tunnel. Part of the scenery. Beautiful, but not mine. Sometimes I see people I know from up here. That's the thing about Manhattan. It's big, but not that big. People run into each other more than they admit. I saw Nicky DeLuca last week standing outside the cigar lounge on 53rd. Still wears his suits too tight like he's pretending he's 30. He didn't see me. Or maybe he did and kept walking. That's fine. We don't talk much anymore. Not since Atlantic City. I don't miss the crowds. The dinners with linen napkins and silent waiters. The meetings in back rooms with nobody smiling. These days, I prefer the view. To the right, I can just make out Central Park. It's mostly shadows from here, a soft black smudge against the glitter. But if you watch closely, you'll see life. Joggers with their breath visible in the cold, the occasional dog walker with a flashlight. Rats, too, if we're being honest. Nature's survivors. They're more like us than we want to admit. Farther out, the bridges are lit like delicate necklaces. Queensboro, Williamsburg, Manhattan. They look fragile from here, like something you could pluck off the skyline and place in a jewelry box. But up close, they're beasts. Heavy, loud, full of secrets, like most beautiful things in this city. There's something about autumn that makes all this feel softer. The summer sweat is gone. The winter slush hasn't arrived yet. It's that perfect in between. Coats, but no gloves. Scarves, but no boots. You can walk for miles without overheating or freezing. The city lets you breathe just a little. It almost forgives you. I glance down again. The diner's waitress steps outside for a smoke, apron still on, arms crossed against the cold. She's been there since the pandemic, maybe longer. I don't know her name, but I know her routine. She always smokes with her eyes closed, like she's somewhere else, somewhere warm. Then she goes back in, refills the coffee pot, and keeps going. That's New York in a nutshell. People doing what they need to, one small act at a time. Not chasing dreams, not most of us. Just trying to stay afloat. I respect that. There's a guy who sleeps near the subway entrance on 72nd. Big beard, quiet type. Never begs. Just sits with his back against the wall, wrapped in a coat someone probably died in. I left him a sandwich once. Didn't say anything. The next night, he nodded at me like we'd known each other a while. We hadn't. But that's how it works here. Sometimes a nod means more than a whole conversation. I wonder what the city will be like in 10 years. Will the buildings be taller? Will the rats have won? Will kids still skateboard down Park Avenue at midnight like they're invincible? I don't know. But I hope the light still falls just right on wet pavement. I hope there's still steam curling up from the manholes, turning every corner into a stage for something unseen. My cigarette's nearly out. The ice in my glass is mostly water now. I think about pouring another, but I don't. The night is slowing, and I like to match its pace. No need to rush. The window will still be here tomorrow. So will the city. And me. Maybe. A siren whines somewhere downtown. Could be an ambulance, could be a cop. could be something I'd rather not know about. Either way, I don't flinch. The city screams and sings in equal measure. You get used to it. One more deep breath. The smoke tastes like burnt sugar and old regrets. I let it out slow, watch it fade into the glass, into the dark. Somewhere, a couple kisses under a street lamp. Somewhere, a crime gets covered up. Somewhere, someone starts a song and someone else ends a life. And somewhere up here on the 14th floor, a man with a past watches it all, not judging, not intervening, just noticing, just being. Because sometimes, that's enough. You can smell autumn before you see it. It starts in the gutters. The leaves pile up slow at first, like they're planning something. Gold, rust, bronze, colors that look expensive in the right light. They gather in little whirlpools near the curbs and around the park benches, soaking up the city's rain and the cigarette butts of strangers. The smell is sharp, wet pavement, cold metal. A hint of something sweet like roasted peanuts, or the crust of a pie someone carried down a brownstone stoop and into a cab. You notice it walking through the side streets, where the shadows fall longer between the buildings. Something about the way the chill bites at your knuckles makes you more awake than you want to be. The air tastes clean and old at the same time, like it remembers things. In autumn, New York exhales. It's quieter than in the summer when the city hums with heat and ambition. In autumn, things settle. People don't yell as much. Cars don't honk unless they mean it. Everyone seems like they're moving, just a little slower, like they're walking through a memory instead of a Tuesday. I used to take long walks this time of year, before my name was the kind that made people pause, before people whispered in restaurants when I walked in. Back when I was just Mikey, no adjectives attached. I'd walk from Columbus Circle all the way down to Soho, just to clear my head. Stop for a pretzel, maybe a slice, watch the leaves swirl down through scaffolding, land in puddles like coins flicked into a fountain. Sometimes I'd sit on a bench near the reservoir, where the runners go around in endless loops, their breath puffing out like steam engines. I never ran. Still don't. I just watched. You learn a lot watching people. Who's running from something? Who's chasing it? Who's just pretending to look busy so they don't have to go home? You notice things when you're quiet. That's something the city taught me early on. Be quiet and be still, and the whole place starts talking. There's a florist on Amsterdam Avenue that always gets a little bolder with their window displays in the fall. Deep reds and purples, sunflowers the size of dinner plates, orange twigs twisted like candy. You wouldn't think a guy like me notices stuff like that, but I do. I notice everything. That's what keeps me breathing. Mornings are best right before the cold really sets in. Around 6, when the sky's still navy and the streetlights haven't shut off. Delivery trucks make their slow turns. Coffee carts roll into place. You see doormen hosing down the sidewalk like they're rinsing off the night. That quiet before the horns start. There's something sacred about it. It's like the city's brushing its teeth, straightening its tie, trying to look presentable before the chaos begins again. And the pigeons. Always the pigeons. I don't hate them. Most people do. But I respect the way they never leave. No matter the season, they're there, flapping up from the subway grates, pecking at crumbs near the bagel shops. Unbothered, unkillable. A little like me, maybe. Even the crime gets quiet in the fall. There's still things happening. Don't let the pumpkin spice fool you. But they feel different. Less messy, more calculated. Like everyone's in a sharper mood. Fights become negotiations. Betrayals wait till after Thanksgiving. The streets get colder, and so do the hands that shake yours. You can feel the shift even in the neighborhoods. In Harlem, the corner preachers switch from shouting about salvation to whispering about warmth and shelter. In the village, the artists put away their guitars and start selling scarves they knitted in the dark. Midtown gets shinier, prepping for tourists and tree lighting. And uptown, where I live, the old money starts showing up again, like birds returning to roost. I watch it all from my window. It's better than TV. A man can sit here with a drink, see the story of the city unfold frame by frame. A jogger stops to tie her shoe. A couple argues without raising their voices. A doorman flirts with a nanny over a stroller. It's small stuff, but it tells you everything. That's the beauty of New York, the stories in the details. You know, when I was a kid, I used to think autumn meant something was ending. The days got shorter, school started, the ice cream trucks disappeared. My father used to say, "Don't trust a man who loves fall too much. It means he's comfortable with things dying." But I don't see it like that anymore. To me, fall is when the city tells the truth. In the summer, everyone's performing. Skin's out, tempers are hot, everything's louder than it needs to be. But in the fall, people start being real again. You see who they are when the wind cuts through their coats and they have to huddle into themselves. You learn a lot about someone by how they deal with a cold wind on a long block. Me? I bundle up. I move quiet. I know which sides of the street catch more sun. I know which bodegas sell the good coffee and which ones water it down. I know which steps are slick after the rain. And I know which people are dangerous when their breath turns white. That's important in my line of work. Reading people, anticipating, knowing when to listen and when to disappear. A lot of guys in this business, they don't last past 50. Not because they're not smart, some of them are real clever, but they get too loud. They start thinking the city owes them something, like they're owed respect because they've seen things, done things. But the city don't care. It eats everyone eventually. The best you can do is carve out a little corner for yourself and keep your head low. That's what I've done. My building's not flashy. The rent's too high for artists, but too low for investment bankers. No one asks questions here. The super keeps to himself. The doorman's half blind. My neighbors are polite in the way people are when they assume you work in finance but don't want to make you prove it. It's perfect. And from up here, I get the view. I get to watch the city put itself to bed, night after night. And in the fall, it does it slowly, reluctantly, like a kid who doesn't want to sleep in case they miss something. Sometimes, around midnight, you hear the garbage trucks come through. People think the city stops at night, but it doesn't. It just shifts tasks. The real work happens after hours. That's when deals are made, debts collected, sins washed away in the rain. You hear those trucks banging along the street, men shouting, cans clattering, and you remember that someone has to take out the trash, literally and otherwise. That's where I come in. I won't lie, I've done things. Some of them I regret, some of them I don't. But I never let it touch the city part of me. The part that still sees beauty in a fire escape strung with fairy lights. The part that watches strangers reunite at the corner of 74th and cries a little, even though I'd never admit it. The part that feels still. Autumn sharpens that, makes the world feel more real. The air is honest. The sounds are softer, but they hit deeper. Even the food tastes better. The pizza joints switch to heavier sauces. The bakeries start putting out apple tarts and cinnamon rolls. There's a spot on Lexington where I swear the guy puts crack in the pumpkin muffins. People line up in the cold, smiling like idiots. I go early, before the line starts. They don't know me there, not in the way that matters. They just call me sir, hand me my coffee, and nod like I'm nobody. And maybe I am. Maybe that's the best part. Up here, watching the season wrap around the city like an old coat, I can forget what I've done. I can be just another man who made it through the day, who didn't get a call he couldn't ignore, who didn't have to bury something ugly, just a guy with a window and a drink and a city full of stories. I lean back in my chair and listen. A dog barks once, then again. A bus hisses as it kneels to pick someone up. A bottle rolls into a gutter. A woman laughs so loud it carries up 14 floors and makes me smile. Somewhere downtown, someone's falling in love under a flickering street lamp. Somewhere in Queens, someone's getting caught. Somewhere in the Bronx, a mother turns off a lamp and prays the heat lasts through the night. And up here, I sit in the autumn dark, watching my city breathe. There's a strange comfort in knowing you're not the only one awake when the city sinks into its deepest hours. Past midnight, past the last L train that limps across the East River, past the bar fights and the tipsy laughter echoing down side streets. That's when the real New York opens its eyes. I never sleep early, haven't in years. The nights stretch long and gentle for me, like a favorite coat I wear slow. I sit by the window, sometimes without the drink, sometimes without the light, and I watch. People think the city sleeps, that once the bars close and the taxis thin out, the whole place holds its breath. But that's not how it works. Manhattan's like me. Its eyes stay open, even if it pretends to dream. You want to know who's still moving at 2:47 a.m.? I can tell you. There's the overnight doormen, the ones who nod slow, check the same list 500 times, who know which tenants come home alone and which ones come home lying. They're the quiet sentries. They know things. If they ever talked, half the co-ops south of 86th would burn. There's the garbage men, sure, but also the delivery guys. Young, old, bent over handlebars, balancing brown paper bags with one hand and dodging potholes with the other. They're soaked in rain or sweat, depending on the season. Right now, it's both. The heat from their bodies fogs up their helmet visors, but they keep going, because people don't stop ordering things at night. Sushi, blankets, answers, apologies. And then there's the ones who don't belong to the clock. Women in long coats who step out of black cars and walk like they've just ended something, jobs, dinners, marriages. Men in pressed suits, no ties, shoes too shiny for their faces. They carry briefcases and regrets. Some stop to look at the moon, like it might forgive them. You get the artists too, real ones and fakers. Guys with cameras slung around their necks like rosaries. Women sketching with gloves on. Kids with headphones, rapping to themselves in alleyways, hoping the rhythm will make something stick. The city hums for them. They hum back. It's a kind of prayer. And the other ones, the ones like me, the watchers, we don't move much. We sit, we smoke, we press our fingers against cold glass and look out like we're waiting for something. Maybe we are. Maybe we're just used to it. You learn the rhythm. Which bodegas lock their doors after one. Which parking garages leave the gate open a little too long. Which back doors in Hell's Kitchen are used by cooks sneaking out for 5-minute phone calls that sound like confessions. The city never stops moving. It just gets quieter about it. I know a guy, Sal, who used to drive the same black Lincoln town car up and down the avenues all night. Didn't even pick up fares. Said it helped him think. He'd drive from the Battery to Harlem and back again, sipping coffee from a paper cup and listening to classical music. Said it kept his ghosts in the trunk, so they wouldn't bother him up front. I don't know if I believed him, but I understood. We all got ghosts. Some of us just prefer to let them ride along. One night, maybe 2 years ago, I saw a woman dancing in the middle of the street near 110th. No music, no audience, just her and the wind. She twirled like she wasn't afraid of anything. I stood there leaning against a lamppost, watching her until she finished and bowed to no one. She saw me, smiled, then disappeared into the dark. Never saw her again. Maybe she wasn't real. The city does that sometimes. It hands you a moment wrapped in velvet and then takes it back. There's a saxophone player who sets up near 59th and plays until the cops tell him to move. I hear him from up here sometimes. He plays the same 5 songs. One of them's Autumn in New York. Makes sense. It's not the cleanest version I've heard, but it's got heart. Sounds like someone crying with a cigarette in their mouth. I respect that. The streets are lonelier in a beautiful way. You walk them at this hour, and everything feels like it belongs to you. The intersections, the shadows, the steam curling from under manhole covers like secret messages. The city lets you pretend you're the last person alive. And for a while, that's a comfort. Then you round a corner and see a woman pushing a cart full of cans, or a guy yelling at a traffic light, or a teenager on a stolen bike. And just like that, the city reminds you, you're never alone here. Not really. I think that's why I don't leave. Why I never could. It's not about money. God knows I've had it and lost it and had it again. It's not about power either. Power's a candle in a hurricane. Looks nice until it goes out. It's about that feeling at 3 in the morning when you realize the city's not asking you to be anyone. Not a tough guy. Not a leader. Not even a sinner. Just a pair of eyes in the dark, watching the world turn. Sometimes I walk. Not far. Just a block or 2. I keep my collar up, my hands in my pockets. No one pays attention. That's the best part. In the daytime, people look. Not always, but enough. Some recognize me. Some think they do. Either way, it's a wait. But at night? At night, I'm just another man taking the long way home. There's a corner store near 75th I like. They sell these little cookies from Italy. The kind with lemon and almond, shaped like seashells. I don't even have much of a sweet tooth, but I buy them anyway. It feels human, normal. Sometimes I talk to the guy behind the counter. He's from Morocco, has a kid in college. Always plays soccer highlights on a little screen behind the lottery machine. He doesn't know who I am. Or if he does, he never lets on. I like that. I like the people who don't ask questions. The city's full of them if you know where to look. They do their jobs, they nod politely, they keep the gears turning. They're the bones of this place. Not the bankers, not the actors, not the influencers or politicians. It's the janitors, the overnight nurses, the dishwasher riding the Q train home, the maintenance guy fixing a boiler at 2 a.m. because some rich kid left the window open all day. They don't make headlines, but they make the city work. I think about that a lot lately. Who gets remembered? Who doesn't? Who leaves a mark? And who just leaves? Maybe I've left both. Maybe that's enough. The clock says it's 4:03. The sky started changing again. Just barely. The black fades into a kind of navy bruising. Streetlights blink like they're waking up from a dream. The first buses growl at the corners. The people who work in bakeries are unlocking their gates. The stock market guys are snoozing alarms in glass towers. And me, I'm still here. Still in the chair. Still watching. A car rolls past below, real slow. Windows tinted, nothing flashy. I know the make and model. I know the sound. Not one of mine, but not far. I lean forward a little, watching it slide through the intersection like it's gliding across ice. No one else notices. That's good. That means nothing's happening. Yet. The streets belong to fewer people now. The club kids are gone. The early risers aren't out yet. There's this moment, just before dawn, where the city resets. The dreams haven't worn off yet, and the facts haven't taken over. That's when I feel closest to the city, like it's whispering just to me. I sit back. Let it whisper. Daylight makes everything look cleaner. That's the lie. You wake up, the sun's out, the buildings are gleaming in that sharp, surgical morning light, and for a moment you think, maybe things are all right. Maybe the night was just a dream. Maybe you didn't say that thing, didn't go to that place, didn't make that call. But the truth is, New York in the daylight is just the same city in better lighting. It doesn't forget. It just smiles while it pretends to. By the time most people are yawning their way down the stairs and out into the morning, the city's already been working for hours. The bakers, the subway techs, the flower vendors, the guys in coveralls fixing elevators, tightening bolts in places nobody notices unless something breaks. All the things that looked romantic last night. The fog on the sidewalk, the puddles under the street lamp, the quiet corners where you could kiss someone or kill someone, are just wet pavement and overworked bulbs in the daylight. From my window, it's all motion now. The joggers are back, some with dogs, some alone, all of them wearing bright colors like they're afraid of being mistaken for part of the background. Cabs honk more. The crosswalks beep louder. The sirens get sharper, more urgent. Even the birds seem less poetic. They're fighting over a half-eaten bagel someone dropped outside a nail salon. And then there's the people going to work. It's like watching a movie in fast forward. You've got the suits, blazers, heels, AirPods in, half already on a conference call by the time they hit the sidewalk. Then the scrubs, nurses and techs and assistants, most of them with tired eyes but strong postures. Some of them are still wearing their overnight faces. They've seen things before breakfast that would flatten most folks. They don't talk about it. And then there are the cleaners, the ghost crew. People wiping down glass doors, stacking trash bags, sweeping up glitter and vomit from last night's sins. You watch them and you realize they're the ones who reset the game board before everyone else shows up to pretend it's fresh. The morning feels honest, but it's not. It's a cover-up, a well-rehearsed magic trick. And every day the city claps for it like it doesn't know how it ends. Me, I stay inside till late morning, usually. I keep the shades open, but I don't step out until the sun's softened a little. That's when the energy changes. The first wave of ambition has already passed. All the ladder climbers and buzzword drinkers are behind their desks, typing fast, nodding at their bosses like they mean it. The streets go quiet again, but different from the night. It's not mystery now. It's maintenance. It's middle-aged women pushing strollers and men sipping coffee out of paper cups with their names spelled wrong. If I do go out, I move casual. Jacket over the shoulders, sunglasses even if it's cloudy. I blend in just fine. Everyone assumes you belong somewhere if you look like you've already been. That's the trick. Confidence without speed. People in a rush look guilty. You'd be surprised what the daylight lets happen in plain sight. I've done meetings in cafes where kids were eating pancakes 2 tables over. I've shaken hands in museums. I've said goodbye in elevators with security cameras watching from every corner. The city's full of eyes, but most of them don't see. They're too busy trying to figure out where their next task, text, or meal is coming from. The people I work with, they know how to blend. We don't talk loud. We don't wear pinky rings or use code names. That's all for the movies. In real life, we pass each other on sidewalks, maybe nod, maybe not. Some of us still meet in the park, walking in opposite directions, one of us handing off a folded napkin or a flash drive like it's a pack of gum. I had a guy once, a young one, too eager. He wore a gold chain that caught the light. Couldn't stop checking behind him like he was in a spy movie. He lasted 6 weeks. Got picked up on something small, then started talking. He's not in New York anymore. He's not anywhere anymore. You survive by being small, not invisible, just unremarkable. You have to know how to walk past cops and priests and doormen and make them forget you were ever there. The city helps you if you let it. It's so busy trying to remember itself. It'll forget you on your behalf. Sometimes I watch the kids going to school, not in a creepy way, just watching people grow up in this place, seeing the backpacks, the uniforms, the way they cling to their parents' hands until they don't. Makes me think about another life I could have lived. One where I wore a watch for business meetings and worried about carpool logistics. One where I had a front yard and a dog that barked too much. But that wasn't the path. Not for me. Not for someone who grew up in a neighborhood where men shook hands with blood under their fingernails and called it honor. Where loyalty was more important than safety. Where silence was sacred. That kind of life leaves marks. Even if you try to live clean, you carry the shape of those early shadows with you. Like walking under a lamp and noticing your outlines a little longer than it should be. There's a cafe down on 2nd I used to go to with her. We'd sit outside when it was warm and inside when it wasn't. She liked her coffee sweet. I liked mine quiet. We talk about leaving the city, a cabin somewhere, mountains, trees. She wanted autumn without the sirens. I didn't know how to tell her I needed the noise, that without it, I'd start listening to things I didn't want to hear. She left, not in a dramatic way, just stopped calling, stopped showing up. One morning, the coffee tasted different and I realized I hadn't seen her in weeks. That was 5 years ago. I still go to that cafe sometimes. They've repainted, changed the cups, added an espresso machine that hisses like a tired cat. But the table by the window is still there. The city forgets nothing, but it forgives in strange ways. You can be a villain at night and a gentleman by noon. You can make a decision in the dark and unmake it in daylight if you know the right people. The trick is timing and discretion. Sometimes I watch the courthouse steps from afar. It's a strange theater. All that granite and marble, all that history, and still people walk in and out like they're buying groceries. I've known judges who shook my hand with the same fingers they used to sign warrants. I've known lawyers who took phone calls in the middle of sentencing. The city doesn't punish hypocrisy. It rewards it, if you wear it well. The thing that separates the night from the day, really, is posture. At night, everyone's leaning forward, waiting, watching, hiding. In the day, everyone's pretending they're not. That's what the sunlight does. It convinces you that the deal you made at 3 a.m. didn't happen, that the envelope wasn't handed off, that the favor wasn't called in. But I remember. So does the city. People always talk about New York like it's this grand dream machine. Like if you want something badly enough, the city will give it to you. Maybe. But more often, it waits. It watches. It lets you dig your own hole. I've dug a few. I've stood at the edge of them, tossing in dirt and names and the occasional memory. But I've always stayed above ground. That's what matters. That's what I'm good at. And when the day finally winds down, when the buildings cast long shadows again, and the stores flip their signs from open to closed, with that little satisfied clink of finality, I go back to the window. The light's different now. Softer. The edges of the buildings aren't so harsh. The reflections in the glass get deeper, blurrier. You can see inside people's apartments again. Little glowing boxes of dinner, TV, laughter, loneliness. The city doesn't change. It just shifts its weight from one foot to the other. And I shift with it. The nights always come back. No matter what happens during the day, how loud it gets, how clean it pretends to be, Eventually, the shadows return. They stretch across the pavement like old friends. The lights soften. The buildings exhale. The city starts to whisper again. I'm back in my chair by the window. Same spot, same view. Sometimes I think about moving it, switching things up, trying out the other side of the apartment, or even buying a new chair altogether. But I never do. There's something about the way this one creaks, the way it leans just a little to the right. It remembers me. I've been here a long time, not just in this building or on this street, but in this life. It's not the kind of work you retire from, not really. You just start doing less. You take fewer calls. You start saying no more often, not because you're afraid, but because you've seen what happens when you say yes too easily. Some nights, like this one, the phone doesn't ring at all, and that's good. That's how I know the city's not asking anything of me tonight. It's just letting me sit, letting me look. Down below, the same diner's open, lights bright, neon sign buzzing faintly. A cab idles out front. There's a couple sitting at the counter, late 20s maybe, leaning close, 2 plates between them, but no food left. They're talking fast, laughing like they've just decided something important. They don't know I'm watching. I don't know their names. But for a moment we share this, a frame in the film. Farther down the street, a man walks his dog, slow and steady, the leash loose, the dog's tail wagging like it's in on a joke. They stop at the corner and look both ways, even though no cars are coming. That's how you know they've been here a while. That's how you know they belong. The thing people don't always get about this city is how it repeats. It's a cycle, a rhythm. Morning to night, Monday to Friday, fall to winter and back again. You see the same patterns dressed in different coats, the same hopes in new shoes, the same mistakes with better filters. I've watched entire lives rise and fall from this window. Watched new buildings go up, old ones come down. Watched storefronts change hands. Watched names vanish from awnings like they were never there. And I've watched people, most of all. There was a girl who used to practice her ballet on the roof across the street. Rain or shine, morning or dusk. Just her and a portable speaker. Sometimes she'd fall. Sometimes she'd cry. But she always got back up. One day she stopped showing up. I still glance up there now and then just in case. But I think she moved on. Or maybe she just ran out of dreams. That happens too. I've seen boys in pressed shirts pacing before first dates, mouthing words they'll forget the moment the door opens. I've seen men in trench coats toss their wedding rings into gutters. I've seen women throw keys from 6th floor windows and then run down barefoot to take them back. Every block in Manhattan's got a story nobody writes down. Nobody needs to. The buildings remember. Sometimes I think I'll write things down. Just once. Not for the public, not for revenge or legacy. Just for me. A ledger of nights. A journal of faces. But every time I start, it feels wrong. Like I'm trying to trap something that wasn't meant to be held. So instead, I remember. I sit here and let the nights file themselves away in the back of my mind, where it's warm and quiet, and nothing needs explaining. People ask me if I'm proud of what I've done. Not often, but sometimes. The ones who dare. I never give them a straight answer, because pride's a tricky thing. It's not about liking what you've done, it's about owning it. And I do. Every deal, every favor, every name I protected, and every one I let go. That's the job. That's the cost of keeping a corner of the city for yourself. You protect some people, you ruin others, and you live with both. But nights like this, I don't think about the ledger. I think about the quiet, about how rare it is to find peace that doesn't come with strings attached. and about how lucky I am that mine comes with a view. The wind's picked up. You can tell by the way the steam bends as it rises from the grates. It carries the smell of roasted peanuts and engine oil, and something sweet from the bakery down the block that stays open past midnight on Fridays. It smells like the past a little. A bus rolls by. Empty, except for the driver and a man slumped near the back with his hood pulled low. They pass under a traffic light that blinks yellow over and over, like it's warning no one in particular. Somewhere on the next block, a saxophone plays. Probably the same guy as last week. Same broken notes. Same broken dreams. But they sound better tonight. Maybe the air's just right. Or maybe I'm listening closer. That's something I've learned in this life. The more you quiet down, the more you notice. Not just the danger or the openings, but the beauty too. The way a puddle reflects a sign in just the right shade of red. The way someone holds a coffee cup with both hands like it's the last warm thing they've got. The way people walk when they think no one's watching. I've seen friends rise up, then disappear into golf courses and gated communities. I've seen others get in over their heads and vanish in a different way. Me? I stayed here. Not because I'm braver. Not because I didn't have chances to leave. But because I know this place. I know its rhythms. And it knows mine. There's comfort in that. Even if it's not always safe. Even if you've got to keep your back to the wall sometimes. The truth is, I could walk away. Start over in Florida or Italy or wherever old ghosts go to fade. But I don't. Because I still feel alive here. Because when I walk these streets, they recognize me. Not with applause or gratitude, but with something better, with silence, with space. And when I sit here, night after night, and look out over this mess of lights and angles and endless little dramas, I don't feel old. I don't feel worn out. I feel like part of something. I'm not the hero, not even close, but I'm here. I'm present. And in a city like this, that counts for something. The glass in my window is a little smudged now. I'll clean it tomorrow. Maybe. The chair still creaks. The shadows on the wall shift every few minutes as cars pass below, headlights painting slow-moving ghosts across the room. I light one last cigarette. Not because I need it, just because it feels like punctuation. Downstairs, the diner's closed. The couple's gone. The cab's moved on. But the city's still breathing, still twitching in its sleep, still dreaming out loud. I take a long drag. Let the smoke curl around me. Tomorrow, there'll be meetings, or calls, or silence. I don't know yet. But whatever it is, the window will still be here. The city will still be turning, folding its secrets into manila envelopes and whispered names. And I'll still be watching. Because that's what I do now. That's who I am. Not the enforcer, not the cleaner, not even the fixer. Just Mikey. A man in a chair, in a room, in a city that never stops pretending it's new. And in that, there's peace. Even if it's a crooked, complicated kind of peace, it's enough.